Hello everyone, welcome to the moon in the 11th house of your chart. When the moon is 11 houses away from your ascendant, this is a video for you. And it's also good in a Western chart. Just make sure you have a sign for a house system. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Let's begin. Firstly, what is the 11th house in your chart? Yes, it's the definite house of gain, increase of income, because it represents income coming from your career. Career is 10th house. Second house to that is your income. Now, the 11th house equates to Aquarius, a very karmic sign ruled by Saturn and Rahu. Rahu is causing us to take rebirth. So planets in this house and the ruler, by the way, video coming up soon, have a lot to do with why we are here, what desires we are aiming to fulfill. And to fulfill our desires, we need other people, mostly, definitely. So this is a house of social network circles. It brings us out of isolation because it is the 12th house to the 12th house of isolation. It takes us into political influence, also ruled by Rahu. Certainly friendships, wider circle, network circle are shown here, and also our work colleagues who support us in the workplace. But it's also ruled naturally by Saturn. Saturn rules Aquarius, so we can expect that there will be some demands made on us by this house to give to humanity. It's the 6th from the 6th house. It can cause conflict, difficulty, and all sorts of obstacles in our path. We have to be giving to receive. And who then is the moon? The moon is known as Chandra in the Vedic system. He is the most gentle of all the grahas. He has no enemies. He is friendly to all. He rules the 4th house of your chart, the mother, the land, the country, and the home. He gives, therefore, a feeling of belonging, security, inclusivity, and happiness. He represents a DNA program in every cell of our body from which we will carry out our karmas in this life. He is also responsible for our food and our nourishment, indeed for the very air that we breathe. He therefore represents the very health of our body and our longevity. He is, of course, Manas, the mind. Therefore, he has everything to do with our impressions of life, our memories, and indeed our emotions. What happens then when the gentle and caring moon has gone into the rather turbulent and demanding 11th house? Well, the first thing you must know is a sign, because it's all to do with why you've taken birth. As I've just described, a very important karmic house. You must see the sign. The sign carries the karmas. Check the video on my channel, Moon Karmas in All Signs. I will link below this and at the end. In addition, from the moon, you see Chandra Lagna, or the moon chart. Very important to see all the planets in your chart from this position. It controls your destiny. Check again the video on my channel, the moon chart. I will link below and at the end. So when the changeable moon then has gone into the 11th house, will you get gains? Will you get favor in life? There are many good factors to be had, as I will explain. But the first thing we have to understand is little understood about this placement actually. It's not easy for the moon to be here. First factor, moon's natural house is Cancer. Can you see it has gone 8 houses away from there? He's going to have some ups and downs, quite a bit of turbulence here. And once again, in terms of the natural order of the zodiac, this is a house of Aquarius, as I've just described, ruled by Saturn and Rahu. These are enemies to the moon. So once again, moon is in a little bit of a tricky position here, but still there will be benefits. Let's discuss these. First thing is that the moon represents society and how we connect to society. This is the house of social networks. It's strongly important in your destiny, the social networks who you belong to. Network circles will virtually make or break the whole course of your life. If the moon is strong in its 11th house, has a good sign, good aspects, you will get many excellent friendships, supportive friendships in your life. But the moon is changeable, waxing and waning, so friendships go through major changes. True for everybody, but especially true here. One thing though, friendships become important to you, sometimes even more in some cases than your family. The 11th house represents your work colleagues, specifically people who support you in your workplace, 2nd to 10th house. So very often, very many good, strong and important connections are made in the workplace at some time in your life. Of course, when the moon is badly placed or afflicted by malefics like Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu in this house, then there can be many disturbances with your work colleagues, many emotional disturbing situations. Whether you are male or female, female friends can be important to you. Sometimes even motherly type figures take you under their wing. Above this, though, the moon rules nourishment in life, and you are nourished by the collective groups in society represented by 11th house. So belonging to political organizations, social groups, humanitarian activist groups, maybe religious groups. Definitely these give you a real sense of happiness and belonging. But just like with your friendships, there can be fluctuating factors. Sometimes you can join a group, then you can leave the group, then you can come back to it. And even your intellectual viewpoints can actually go through dramatic fluctuations. For example, this can be seen in political affiliation. Rahu 11th house rules politics. So you could have one political vantage point and then completely switch over to the completely opposite party over time. Why is it happening? Are you being fickle? No, the moon is adaptable always. New circumstances, you change your view. You are equally adaptable in your earning capacity. Moon 11th house can in many cases give good income, good earning. Even if there is severe affliction, over time you will recoup your losses. Certainly income will fluctuate, sometimes high, sometimes low, sometimes even non-existent, but it will always come up again, just like the tide. It will always come back. And you have multiple streams of income, very many talents by this position. Now, the moon is mother. Being in this 11th house, mother can be very humanitarian, very much a socially active sort of mother. But here's the thing, it's not so good for the emotional connection to her. It's because, as I've just spoken, moon is naturally 4th house lord, and he's gone 8 houses away from that position. So there's some disturbance to that emotional bond. Even sometimes, worst case scenario, there is complete separation. There is loss of the mother. And yet, despite this, in some cases, moon 11th house shows a friendship relationship with your mother later on in life, where you become friendly, open, speaking about anything together. This can be a good thing. But nonetheless, there are difficulties and challenges in the mother relationship. However, sometimes 11th house moon shows financial gain from the father. Why? Because father is 9th house. 10th house is father's wealth, and it's coming over to you by this position. So he can support you financially. Even inheritance can be there. Something good is normally coming from the father's line. One thing about the moon 11th, though, is that your emotions ruled by the moon become very turbulent by this position. Again, 8 away from the 4th house. You become emotionally insecure sometimes, up and down. Depends on the aspects to the moon. But even with good aspects like Jupiter, you still have emotional instability. You can be a very moody person. There can be even mental health disorders like anxiety, OCD, depression. But normally, once again, moon in this house comes out of these over time. See, everyone, the worst thing for the moon 11th house is isolation. You have to bring yourself out of isolation, even though you might feel like you want to hide away sometimes. Moon 11th house needs to be part of society. Getting yourself joined up to your friendships or even society groups, as I have explained, makes you far more happier. You have to give something back to society to feel truly nourished yourself. And the 7th aspect of the moon is to the 5th house. It's good if you have children very often, unless there are severe affliction to the 5th house. 5th house lord, you connect well to children and you can be excellent parent. You can be a great teacher with this position, definitely connecting deeply to your students. And also you're a fantastic learner. When you are emotionally connected to your subject, you can be extremely successful. But moon is fluctuation, so sometimes education goes through changes, but you always pick up where you left off. Watch financial risk-taking speculation. If this 5th house is afflicted, 5th lord here, moon aspecting here can actually show financial losses. And the 5th house rules romance. Moon aspecting, you are very vulnerable in your romantic attractions. You can become emotionally involved extremely quickly, and it can be hard to get rid of these emotional involvements even if you are not suitable to the other person. So watch this very, very carefully. Check out the moon karmas in every sign up on your screen now, and also the moon chart. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Goodbye for now. God bless everyone.